Toronto matched a grim record for violence this week that has stood for almost 3 decades. 89, that's how many people have been killed so far this year in the city. 46 of those deaths have been shootings. Police say gang violence is a major factor, but not the only one. Joseph Smith is a teacher and co-founder of Generation Chosen, a nonprofit organization working with youth in marginalized communities. And he says there are several issues behind the rising number of murders. I talked to him at the site of Toronto's latest murder, a quiet street in the city's northwest.
In terms of the homicides, it's incredibly distressing, unnerving, primarily because when I look at what's been occurring over the last couple of months, I think, what is our institutional response to the issues that are at hand? I feel that a lot of the deaths could have been prevented if we had more of a comprehensive or creative approach to dealing with the issues and the experiences that the young people that I think are perpetrators of these crimes are dealing with in their local communities or in their respective areas of the city.
Okay, a lot to unpack there. Let's talk first about what are those issues that they're dealing with.
At Generation Chosen, we deal with a lot of young men specifically, but also young women who are suffering because they are ill-equipped to deal with adverse emotional states that result or that are potentiated, I would say, because they come from underserved communities. And so when you look at all the factors facing a young person who is ill-equipped to deal with their own emotional states, and they're dealing with family breakdowns and a lack of money, and negative media perceptions maybe even, or just negativity within their communities between different locales, then all of that kind of gets rubbed together and packaged, and they don't know where to put that emotional energy. So they kind of unload on other people. And I think that that's really the cause of many things we're seeing now.
So we're talking about this mental state people can get into. I'm presuming that can affect everything. In other words, that could affect the ability to retain a job, or exactly. the propensity to get involved in the gang. Or walk us through some of that.
What I do as a teacher too is recognizing that most of the issues that we find in school when it comes to violence or aggression is the outgrowth of relational issues, psychosocial issues, having emotional needs that are unmet. And so, those things manifest in what we're seeing, I think, right now with the rise of violence, or we could say the rise of aggression in our communities.
So some people may be listening to this, Joseph, and they hear what you're talking about, what you're recommending, and they say, well, that's a hug-a-thug approach. What do you think of that?
Well, I mean, it's a practice in listening properly. When someone comes to you with an issue, or they're frustrated with something, or they reject you, maybe they're defiant or being defensive, what do you hear when they're speaking to you? What I hear is that they need something that they're not getting somewhere else. What other people might hear is that they're just being rebellious. So I think it's a difference of hearing and how we interpret what we hear. And so it's definitely not hug-a-thug, it's supporting people who are most disadvantaged, supporting people who maybe lack the capacity and skill sets for all sorts of conditions and factors to do what maybe the other or the average person can do on their own. So it's trying to help that person become more self-sufficient if they lack the resources to.
We want to thank Joseph for his time. Joseph Smith, a teacher and co-founder of Generation Chosen on the homicides in Toronto this year. You're watching CBC News Network.